Brazil is in the grip of the biggest wave of anti-government protests for 20 years after the authorities announced a U-turn on transport fares in two of the biggest cities. People took to the streets in Sao Paulo and Rio initially to demonstrate about the price rises. They were revoked, but by then the protests had spread to other cities and other causes.
Well, some are seeing clear parallels with recent events in Turkey. In Brazil, until recently one of the most praised economies in the BRICS group of rapidly developing countries, there is anger about government corruption and the millions of dollars being spent on next year's World Cup and the Olympics. The authorities are hoping to take control, but more protests are planned for the next few days. Arise News' Marverine Cole reports.
Not even football was exempt from the biggest protests in Brazil in over 20 years. Riot police clashed with protesters heading to the Estádio Castelão in the northeastern city of Fortaleza last night to cause disruption. The crowd, estimated at around 15,000, were heading to the crucial Confederations Cup against Mexico. Officers and the National Guard turned out in force and running battles between protesters ensued. Tear gas and rubber bullets were unleashed on those who were fighting for the right for their voices to be heard. Inside the stadium, a sea of passionate football supporters split their attention between the match, which ended in a 2-0 victory for the home side, and matters which superseded the country's favourite sport, proudly holding up placards to show their support for the swell of demonstrators outside the stadium walls. A hike in fares on public transport in Brazil's two largest cities, Sao Paulo and Rio, is what's fueling people's anger, furious at the huge spend on next year's World Cup and the Olympics in 2016. Officials have reversed their decision on price rises in the light of the intense and unexpected backlash.
We will carry the burden of the budgetary costs to the states, making an adjustment in the area of investment and tightening our belts. But I understand transportation is important, that quality public transportation working at a high capacity is a priority. On the other hand, it's important to the city to have peace and stability, to debate topics raised legitimately.
Pictures of the devastation caused by the unrest, car tyres and vehicles set alight are a clear indication of the strength of public feeling. With a vow from Rio's mayor to make spending cuts to other city services, the Brazilian people look set to stand firm and continue protests over frustrating issues like poor quality public services and government corruption. Marverine Cole, Arise News.